What if I told you that the voice in your head, the one constantly commenting on everything, replaying the past and predicting the future, isn't you? And more importantly, what if I told you that silencing that voice could change your life forever? Right now, that voice may feel like it's in control, but what if the real you exists somewhere beyond the chatter, waiting for you to notice? Think about it for a moment. How much of your day is spent lost in thought? Maybe you're worrying about something that happened yesterday, or you're stressing about what might happen tomorrow. That constant inner dialogue is always running, always narrating, and always pulling you away from this present moment. But here's the truth, that voice isn't who you are. It's just noise. Habitual, conditioned noise that you've mistaken for your identity. This inner dialogue starts early in life. From the moment you could understand words, the world began programming you. Your parents, your teachers, society at large, they all contributed to the script running in your head. They told you what was right, what was wrong, what you could do and what you couldn't, and somewhere along the way you accepted that voice as the truth, as the authority. You might even think it's helping you, keeping you safe. But here's the secret, it's holding you back. You see, the voice in your head is like a constant narrator, but it's not a reliable one. It replays mistakes, amplifies fears, and spins stories about who you are and what's possible for you. It feeds off your insecurities, your doubts, and your need for control. It's loudest when you're feeling vulnerable, convincing you that you need to be someone you're not to survive. But what if you could step outside that narrative? What if you could stop the chatter completely? When you silence that voice, something extraordinary happens. The world doesn't disappear. In fact, it becomes more vivid. Without the constant commentary, you begin to see reality as it is, not as your mind tells you it should be. Colors seem brighter, sounds more alive. You feel the weight of the present moment in a way that words can't describe. And most importantly, you feel connected to yourself, to others, to everything around you. But how do you stop talking to yourself? The first step is awareness. Right now, you might not even notice the voice because it's been there for as long as you can remember. Start by paying attention. Notice the thoughts as they come and go. Don't judge them, don't try to stop them, just observe. This might sound simple, but it's profound, because the moment you observe a thought, you create space between you and it. You realize that you are not the thought, you are the one watching it. This shift, from identifying with the voice to observing it, is the beginning of freedom. It's like waking up from a dream and realizing you were never the character in the story. You were always the observer, the awareness behind it all. And when you fully step into that awareness, the voice begins to lose its power. It no longer controls you because you see it for what it is, a conditioned habit, not the truth. The key to silencing the voice isn't about fighting it or suppressing it. It's about understanding it. That inner chatter is like a wind-up toy, programmed to repeat the same patterns over and over. But here's the thing. It only has power because you pay attention to it. When you stop engaging, when you stop feeding it with your focus, it begins to quiet down. Over time, it fades into the background, like a distant hum you no longer notice. And as the chatter fades, something else emerges, stillness. This stillness isn't empty or boring, it's alive, vibrant and full of potential. It's the space where creativity flows, where intuition speaks, and where you find your true self. In this stillness you discover that you don't need the voice to guide you. There's a deeper intelligence within you, one that doesn't rely on words. It speaks in feelings, in knowing, in a quiet certainty that transcends the mind. This is the shift. When you stop talking to yourself completely, you step into a new way of being. You stop reacting to life and start living it. You stop seeing the world through the lens of your thoughts and begin to experience it directly. It's like taking off a pair of glasses you didn't realize you were wearing and seeing everything clearly for the first time. But let me warn you, this journey isn't always easy. The voice won't go quietly. It's been in charge for so long that it will resist change. It might try to scare you, telling you that silence is dangerous or that you'll lose control. It might try to tempt you back into old patterns of overthinking and worrying. But here's the truth. Those are just tricks. The voice knows it's losing its grip, and it's doing everything it can to hold on. The good news is you don't have to fight it, you just have to be aware of it. Each time you notice the voice and choose not to engage, you weaken its hold. And with practice you'll find that the moments of silence become longer, more frequent. You'll begin to live more and more in that state of stillness, where the voice no longer dictates your reality. This shift isn't just about inner peace, it's about transformation. When you stop talking to yourself, you stop creating problems that don't exist. You stop carrying the weight of the past and the fear of the future. You step into the present moment, where life is unfolding right now. And in that moment, you find a freedom that no amount of thinking could ever give you. Imagine for a moment what life would be like without that constant inner monologue. No more replaying conversations in your head. No more worrying about what others think of you. No more second-guessing every decision. Instead, there's just you, fully present, fully alive, experiencing life as it unfolds. This isn't just a fantasy. It's a reality waiting for you once you let go of the mental noise. But to get there, you need to understand why the voice is so persistent. Its primary job is to keep you safe. It analyzes, plans, and predicts because it's trying to protect you from harm. It believes that by thinking about every possible outcome, it can control the future and avoid pain. But here's the paradox. The voice's attempts to keep you safe are what create most of your suffering. The overthinking, the worrying, the constant self-criticism, none of it actually protects you. It just keeps you trapped in a loop of fear and doubt. Now, think about how much energy that voice drains from you. Every thought requires energy, and when your mind is racing, it's like leaving every light in your house on. No wonder you feel exhausted even when you haven't done much physically. Silencing the voice isn't just about finding peace, it's about reclaiming your energy and directing it toward what truly matters. To do this, you must practice observing your thoughts without judgment. This might sound simple, but it's transformative. The next time you catch yourself lost in thought, pause for a moment. Instead of following the thought, step back and observe it. Notice how it arises, lingers, and eventually fades away. You'll start to see that thoughts are like clouds in the sky, always moving, never permanent. And just like you can't control the clouds, you don't need to control your thoughts. You just need to watch them pass. This practice of observation creates a shift in your perspective. You begin to see that the voice in your head isn't the real you, it's just a habit of the mind, a collection of past experiences, beliefs, and conditioning. The real you is the one watching, the silent presence that exists beyond thought. This presence isn't bound by the stories your mind tells. It's free, limitless, and deeply connected to the present moment. As you spend more time in this state of presence, you'll notice something remarkable. The problems that once seemed so overwhelming start to lose their power. You realize that most of them existed only in your mind. The voice had created them, and without the voice they simply dissolve. What remains is clarity, a sense of knowing what truly matters and the courage to act on it. This clarity extends to every area of your life. When the mental chatter quiets, you begin to hear the whispers of your intuition. This inner guidance doesn't shout or demand, it speaks softly, with a deep sense of certainty. It's the part of you that knows what's right without needing to analyze or rationalize. And when you follow it, life flows effortlessly. Decisions become easier, relationships deepen, and opportunities seem to appear out of nowhere. But here's the catch. Silencing the voice isn't a one-time event. It's a practice, a daily commitment to stepping back and observing rather than reacting. Some days the voice will be louder than others, and that's okay. The goal isn't to achieve perfection, it's to cultivate awareness. Each time you notice the voice and choose not to engage, you're strengthening your connection to the present moment. One of the most powerful tools for quieting the mind is meditation. This doesn't mean you have to sit cross-legged for hours chanting mantras, although you can if that resonates with you. Meditation can be as simple as sitting quietly and focusing on your breath. As you breathe in, notice the sensation of the air entering your nostrils. As you breathe out, feel your body relax. When thoughts arise, don't fight them. Simply notice them and bring your attention back to your breath. Over time, this practice trains your mind to let go of the chatter and rest in stillness. Another tool is mindfulness. This involves bringing your full attention to whatever you're doing in the moment. Whether you're washing dishes, walking in nature, or having a conversation, be fully present. Notice the sensations, sounds, and feelings around you. When your mind starts to wander, gently bring it back to the task at hand. This practice not only quiets the mind, but also deepens your connection to life. As you integrate these practices into your daily routine, you'll begin to experience the shift. The voice will no longer dominate your awareness. Instead, it will become a faint background noise, easily ignored, and in the space it leaves behind, you'll discover a profound stillness. A stillness that holds the answers you've been seeking. This stillness is where your true self resides. It's not something you need to create or find. It's always been there waiting for you to notice. And as you rest in this space, you'll come to see that you are not your thoughts, your emotions, or even your body. You are the awareness in which all these things arise and fall. You are the observer, the witness, the silent presence behind it all. When you live from this place of presence, everything changes. You stop reacting to life and start responding with clarity and intention. You stop chasing happiness and discover that it's already within you. And you stop seeking answers outside yourself because you realize that everything you need is already here. This is the shift. It's not about becoming something new, it's about remembering who you've always been. It's about stepping out of the story your mind has created and into the truth of your existence. And when you do, you'll find a freedom that no amount of thinking could ever give you. Think about the way life feels when you're caught in the endless cycle of overthinking. The voice in your head tells you who you are, what you should do, and how you should feel. It makes you second-guess decisions, doubt your worth, and dwell on things that are out of your control. But here's the truth. That voice isn't who you are. It's just a habit, a deeply ingrained pattern of mental noise that you've mistaken for your identity. Once you see it for what it is, the shift begins. The shift starts when you recognize the difference between the mind and the awareness behind it. Your mind is full of labels, judgments, and narratives, but awareness is pure and untouched. It doesn't try to fix, control, or explain, it simply observes. And when you live from this place of observation, something miraculous happens. Life becomes lighter. You stop carrying the heavy burden of thoughts that don't serve you. But let's get practical. How do you begin to step into this state of awareness? One powerful method is to question the voice. The next time a thought arises, especially one that triggers anxiety or doubt, ask yourself, is this true? Do I know this for certain? Most of the time you'll realize that the thought is just a story, not a fact. This simple act of questioning creates distance between you and the voice, giving you the power to choose how you respond. Another practice is to anchor yourself in the present moment. Your breath is an incredible tool for this. Notice how it flows in and out without any effort on your part. Feel the rise and fall of your chest, the coolness of the air entering your nostrils. When you focus on your breath, the mind quiets. It's as if the act of paying attention to something so simple pulls you out of the whirlwind of thoughts and into the here and now. This state of presence is where you'll find freedom. In the present moment, there's no room for regret about the past or worry about the future. There's just life, unfolding as it is, and in that space you'll realize something profound. The voice in your head isn't necessary. You don't need it to navigate the world, make decisions, or experience joy. In fact, life becomes richer and more vibrant without it. Imagine walking through a forest. When your mind is full of chatter, you might not even notice the beauty around you. You're too busy thinking about what happened yesterday or what might happen tomorrow. But when the mind is silent, everything changes. You hear the rustle of leaves, feel the texture of the earth beneath your feet, and smell the crisp scent of pine. This is the power of presence. But silence isn't just about noticing the world around you. It's about connecting with the world within you. When the voice fades, you begin to hear a deeper truth, a quiet knowing that's always been there. This is your intuition, your inner guide. It doesn't speak in words or arguments. It simply knows. And the more you trust it, the more you'll find that it leads you exactly where you need to go. You might wonder, if I stop listening to the voice, will I lose control? Will I stop caring or making progress? The answer is no. In fact, the opposite is true. When the mind is quiet, you gain clarity. You see situations as they are, not as your mind interprets them. Decisions become easier because they're not clouded by fear or doubt. You start to act from a place of confidence and inner alignment. This shift doesn't just transform your inner world, it changes the way you interact with others. When you're free from the constant mental chatter, you become more present in your relationships. You listen deeply, without planning your response. You connect with others on a level that goes beyond words. And because you're no longer caught up in your own stories, you're able to hold space for others to be themselves. Think about how rare this is. Most people are so caught up in their own thoughts that they struggle to truly connect. They're distracted, anxious, or preoccupied with what they'll say next. But when you're present, you create an atmosphere of calm and authenticity. People sense it and they respond in kind. Your relationships become richer, more genuine, and more fulfilling. But let's not sugarcoat it. This journey isn't without its challenges. The mind has been in control for so long that it won't give up easily. At first, the voice might get louder, like a child throwing a tantrum when it doesn't get its way. It might try to convince you that silence is boring, pointless, or even dangerous. But remember, this is just another story. The voice is fighting for survival, and it will do whatever it takes to keep you engaged. The key is persistence. Each time you notice the voice and choose not to engage, you weaken its hold. Each moment of presence strengthens your connection to your true self, and over time the voice begins to quiet. It doesn't disappear completely. After all, the mind is a tool and it has its purpose, but it no longer controls you. It becomes a servant, not a master. As the voice fades, you'll begin to experience a sense of spaciousness. It's as if a weight has been lifted and you have room to breathe, to explore, to simply be. In this space, you'll find a peace that doesn't depend on circumstances. It's not the fleeting happiness that comes from getting what you want or avoiding what you fear. It's a deep, unshakable peace that comes from knowing who you are beyond the mind. So this peace transforms every aspect of your life. It gives you the courage to face challenges without fear, the wisdom to navigate uncertainty with grace, and the strength to remain true to yourself no matter what. It allows you to see the world with fresh eyes, to appreciate the beauty in the ordinary, and to find joy in the simplest moments. And as you live from this place of presence, you'll inspire others to do the same. Your stillness will be like a ripple in a pond, spreading outward and touching everyone you meet. You don't need to preach or persuade. Your energy will speak for itself. People will sense the peace within you, and they'll be drawn to it. They'll want to know your secret, and when they ask, you can tell them, "I stopped talking to myself. This is the shift that happens when the voice goes silent. It's not just a change in how you think, it's a change in how you experience life. It's a return to your natural state of being, free, peaceful, and fully present. And the best part? This state isn't something you need to achieve or create, it's already within you, waiting for you to notice. Now, let's address a question that might be lingering in your mind. If silence is the key to transformation, why does the mind resist it so much? The answer lies in the mind's primary function, to protect you. Your thoughts are like a shield, constantly scanning for threats, analyzing the past and planning for the future. But here's the twist. This survival mechanism, which once served our ancestors so well, is now the very thing keeping us trapped in cycles of stress and dissatisfaction. Some of the people you used to be able to access for peace, for well-being, and for love. Like to put it simply, the voice in your head thrives on fear. It tells you that you need to stay alert, that if you stop thinking, you'll lose control. But the reality is just the opposite. When you stop engaging with that voice, you don't lose control. You gain it. You realize that control doesn't come from overthinking. It comes from clarity, from the ability to respond to life's challenges with calm and presence. Let's take an everyday example. Imagine you're running late for an appointment and your mind starts spiraling. What if I miss it? What will they think of me? This always happens. The voice grows louder, feeding your anxiety and clouding your ability to think clearly. Now, what if, instead of engaging with those thoughts, you simply observed them? What if you noticed the anxiety rising, acknowledged it, and then brought your attention back to the present? You'd find that the situation hasn't changed, you're still running late, but your response to it has transformed. You're no longer a prisoner of your thoughts, you're free. This freedom doesn't mean you become passive or indifferent. On the contrary, it allows you to act with greater precision and effectiveness. Without the noise of the mind, you can focus on what truly matters. You can make decisions from a place of wisdom rather than fear. This is the power of silence. It's not about escaping reality. It's about facing it with clarity and confidence. But what about the big decisions, the ones that keep you up at night? Whether it's choosing a career path, ending a relationship, or pursuing a dream, these moments often trigger the loudest inner chatter. The mind wants to weigh every possibility and anticipate every outcome and avoid every risk. It tells you that if you just think hard enough, you'll find the perfect answer. But have you ever noticed that the more you overthink, the harder the decision becomes? This is where the magic of silence comes in. When you quiet the mind, you create space for your intuition to emerge. Intuition doesn't shout or argue, it whispers. It's that subtle feeling of knowing, that inner nudge that says, this is the way. And the more you trust it, the stronger it becomes. You realize that the answers you've been searching for were never outside of you, they were always within. Silencing the mind also opens the door to creativity. Think about it. Some of your best ideas probably came when you weren't trying to think. Maybe it was in the shower, during a walk, or in the moments just before falling asleep. These flashes of inspiration occur because creativity flows from stillness, not from mental effort. When the mind is quiet, it becomes a channel for something greater, a wellspring of ideas, insights, and solutions that you could never have forced into existence. And this doesn't just apply to artists or inventors. Creativity is a fundamental part of being human. Whether you're solving a problem at work, finding a new way to connect with a loved one, or simply navigating the challenges of daily life, creativity is essential. And the more you cultivate silence, the more you'll tap into this natural resource. Let's not forget the profound sense of peace that comes from silencing the mind. Peace isn't just the absence of conflict. It's a state of being that arises when you're no longer at war with yourself. When the inner dialogue stops, you stop judging yourself and others. You stop comparing, striving, and resisting. Instead, you accept life as it is. This acceptance doesn't mean you give up on growth or change. It means you approach them from a place of wholeness rather than lack. This peace has a ripple effect. When you're calm and centered, you naturally influence those around you. Your energy becomes a source of comfort and stability, inspiring others to find their own stillness. You become a beacon, not because you're trying to be, but because peace is contagious. People are drawn to your presence because it reminds them of something they've forgotten, the stillness within themselves. Now, you might wonder, what happens to the voice in your head after you've cultivated silence? Does it disappear completely? The truth is, the mind doesn't stop generating thoughts. That's its nature. But the difference is that those thoughts no longer control you. They become like background music, there if you need them, but easy to ignore if you don't. You gain the ability to use your mind as a tool, rather than being used by it. This shift is liberating, but it's also humbling. You begin to see how much of your life was shaped by the stories you told yourself, the fears, the doubts, the limitations. They were all just mental constructs. And as those stories dissolve, you're left with a profound sense of possibility. You realize that you're not defined by your past, your mistakes, or your circumstances. You are something far greater, pure awareness, infinite potential. Living from this place of awareness doesn't mean life becomes perfect. Challenges will still arise, difficult emotions will still come and go, but the difference is that you'll no longer be swept away by them. You'll face them with grace, knowing that they are temporary, that they don't define you. You'll navigate life's ups and downs with a sense of ease, trusting that everything is unfolding exactly as it should. This is the shift that happens when you stop talking to yourself completely. It's not just a change in your thoughts, it's a transformation in your entire way of being. It's a return to your natural state, peaceful, present and free. The question is, are you ready to take that step? Are you ready to quiet the noise and discover the stillness within? Because once you do, there's no going back. The world will look different, feel different. You'll experience life not as a series of problems to solve, but as a beautiful, unfolding mystery. And in that mystery, you'll find the truth of who you are.